Chandra, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, something that we need to add, I don't know if you put it on there or not, but the wiring for the audio system.
The sound system upgrades.
Yes,
Yep, it's on there.
okay. I just want to be sure that's on there because that's something that needs to be discussed.
Perfect.
After all, after seeing the old wires,
Yeah.
it was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad.
Oh, boy.
So I've got my kids here, so unless I'm speaking, I will probably be on mute.
Yeah, I'm going to be on mute too.
Okay.
So you can mark me as being here.
All right. Well, I'll do that during roll call, just like every time. Do it right.
Okie dokie. Oh, cold.
Chandra?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Cheryl. One thing, because of the snow issues, I think we should be talking about having bingo or not because of what's going on. You're just so we kind of shoot, toss that around.
We would definitely need to make sure some of the bingo ladies are here in order to do that for them.
Yeah. But anyway, in case if we're planning, if we're going to be, if we're going to do a closure, and secondly, if we do, at what time we should send out an announcement about it.
Oh, perfect. Teresa just showed up, so that it'll work.
Okay.
I'm here, guys. Sorry I'm late.
Did you have another meeting?
No, my son was just visiting, so I had to
Perfect.
hurry up and jump on the, the computer real quick.
down.
Pardon me, everybody. I've been trying to go through the security footage for whoever's doing donuts in our parking lot. It's the same dark station wagon. And we're particularly interested in this person because they did donuts in the parking lot when our bingo patrons were parked there.
Matthew,
Yes,
I believe he lives probably, or she or he, lives down to the right. Because every time I see him leave, they go down like going to the right.
yeah.
Because they
Well,
seem
I'm
to
no-
be hitting us pretty regularly.
Yeah,
We have that on our street. We put in a request for like speed bumps because they
Yeah.
kept doing that on our street.
yep. All right. Let's get this started. We have roll call of the officers already going on. President Matthew Barrett here. Vice President Kayla Sullivan. Treasurer Brandy Wallace.
Here,
Secretary Chandra Kay.
Here,
Board members, Farrell Davis. Farrell explained that she would be expected to be late if she could make this at all. Sally Gill is here.
Yes, I'm here.
Desiree Murphy. Cheryl Elfstrand.
Here,
All right, we've got guests. Susie Mapes, Teresa Philhauer, and Greg Mitchell.
Here.
Any other guests? Anybody that we did not call? All right, well, we hope the others join us, but I believe we've got a quorum. Just barely, isn't that right?
5.
5 out of 8.
yep, we have a quorum.
So call the meeting to order and hope you all had a chance to review the board meeting minutes. Seeing no objections to those minutes. I don't know what the proper language is, but seeing no objection, they are
Approved and as written.
approved as written. Thank you, Sally. All right, unfinished business, sound system upgrade. I was here on Saturday when Doug Clements came and the supplies that he ordered on our behalf did not arrive as early as expected on Friday. So we just did it on Saturday and it works great. We now have 2 wireless recharging mics and the mic base was swapped out. Everything seems to work quite well. Now, in the process of doing that, He had to replace some speaker wire, which was not part of the original bid. And he has been paid for that. However, I don't know how many of you have the chance. I actually have the speaker wire here with me, and if people want to see this, I can show them what state this speaker wire was in. It was crumbling like cheese.
Mm.
It was awful. A few of you were able to see that at the holiday bazaar. He has since, I asked him to put together a bid to replace all the speaker wire because it is a fire hazard. Ah, Desiree is joining us. Thank you, Desiree.
I'm sorry. I got distracted by stuff. I apologize. I'm here. I'm late. I'm sorry.
Well, I think we can all sympathize with that. Especially in this season.
Mhm.
Well, and I don't know what you guys are getting for snow, but like we're starting to get dumped on a little bit here.
Oh, yeah. So the let's see, the bid or the invoice that he submitted.
Okay.
Let me pull that up. So he did an estimate. Sorry, it was an invoice for the work that he already did, the additional work. And the estimate for replacing the speaker wire for each of the 6 speakers in the building to the central location in the office via the attic. So he's going to need to do that 6 times. And he's charging $150 per. So that would be $900 for his labor. And then 275 feet of speaker wire at 32 cents a foot would be an additional $88. No taxes, because he has on record our 501c3 status, $988. So I know money's tight, but I wanted to put this on the board's radar, especially because this may constitute, if something happened, we have an insurance issue that we have basically been put on notice that there is a fire hazard.
I'd like to make a motion.
All right, go ahead, Miss Sally.
I move that we accept the bid for having the wiring redone for that audio system. Or the speakers.
All right,
Second.
Sally, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, calling for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I will, I believe Brandy's already got a copy of the estimate. I will let Paul know that we are a go for him to replace that at his convenience. He's been very, very prompt.
I just want to make a note that I do also have Kayla Sullivan as marked here as well. She was able to come in as well.
Wonderful. All right. And yeah, Paul Clemens has definitely been one of our very helpful vendors. His rates are very reasonable. Oh, see that, Kayla? Totally understand. We've all got, yeah, totally understand. Yeah, we are all going through it today. So yeah, Paul Clemens, there is discussion of additional, oh, that was the other thing. That's right, because there's been discussion of additional stuff that he could do. We got bogged down in what the Gambling Commission allows when it comes to bingo displays and stuff like that. But someone was asking at the last meeting about having a fireplace insert. Fireplace insert television. And Paul explained to me how that would be cost prohibitive to do that. Because of the way the chimney is constructed, you'd have to penetrate solid rock to get the speaker wires to go anywhere. And the chimney is so old, it's already been discussed how any changes to that chimney could shatter the entire thing. However, he has said that if we would like to have a television over there, there is a mantle mount system that we've got a big mirror over the fireplace that he says would be perfect for a mantle mount system if we were interested. It would be a huge television set that could be pulled down, and he's got video of it being done by like 7, 8, 9-year-old kids because of it's on hydraulics, so it's very easy to move. Yeah, mantle mount system would be his alternative to the fireplace insert option, but it does still leave us with what the heck are we going to do with that fireplace? It could be dropped down to where it was almost at the level of the fireplace if we wanted to do that.
May I take or raise my hand?
Oh, yes, I need to adjust so that I can see people's raised hands.
I just wanted to say, I don't think at this point, TVs for that purpose is a need. If we were
Agreed.
to be doing any kind of upgrades to televisions, I think it would be for the bingo televisions and get those all upgraded, but that's my opinion.
Yep. No, right there with you. So that's where we're at. Looks like we won't be doing either of those. So if anyone else has an option for what we're going to do with that fireplace, just let me know.
What about, you're not allowed to have candles, right? If
We can have candles, can't we?
I've seen people put just a candle in a fireplace and it's cute, but anyways, that's
Well, I think the main thing we're going for here is something that could be used by renters. And yeah, we're not there yet. The renters don't use the fireplace right now. And yeah, Cheryl's right. It's a want, not a need. Yeah, there's lots of things I would love for this place to have. I would love for this place to have electric car chargers in the parking lot, but you know what? We're not there yet.
Greg and Teresa both have their hands raised.
Oh, I cannot see hands raised. Let me try and. All right, Teresa.
Yeah, inside of the fireplace, there is a electrical fireplace that you can turn the thing on and it looks like it's glowing.
Yes, that's serving our purposes for now. Yeah. And we're very thankful to Greg for bringing that in. Who
Greg.
else had a hand up?
Greg did.
Oh, Greg.
Am I allowed to make a comment, Mr. President?
Oh, absolutely, sir.
Okay, I was at somebody's house the other day and they had purchased some candles on QVC or some shopping network.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, those look so real. They were standalone candles. There was 3 tiers. And I had to go over and touch it because I thought, no, that's real. The way they flickered was so amazing. And they're totally
Wow.
safe. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty impressive. I don't know if we have anybody here on the board that does that type of shopping online, but they're kind of a Christmas item that comes up seasonally. So I think if we got a couple sets of those, I think that'd be very safe and luminous
Yep.
and
Well,
realistic.
I mean, we'll always entertain, ideas of what to do with that area. I see Chandra and the comments there saying we, clean and decorate the area. Certainly we've got options. If there's something that someone thinks that the board should purchase for that, let me know. If you find what Greg's talking about on QVC, let me know. But as things are, it sounds like cleaning and decorating is about as far as we're ready to go. Any other hands up? Any other comments?
Teresa has a no symbol. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not.
I think, was that what you put in your hand down, Teresa?
Yeah, my thing's not working right.
It's all right. It's all right. I figured that was a hand going back down type of thing. All right. This brings us to parking lot structures. We have, I don't know who on this call was not, has been previously informed of this, but we have a security issue. We have somebody's crossed the Rubicon as far as I'm concerned. So it's always been annoying that people would use our parking lot to do donuts. Technically, they are breaking the law, but it has been prohibitively difficult to take any action against them. Until recently, we had an incident where someone entered the parking lot, and I watched it on the security cameras. They entered the parking lot when our patrons were parked there, carefully measured their way up against the cars and spun a couple donuts with their rear end coming very, very close to a customer's PT Cruiser. This, I was advised by the bingo staff that this frightened the patrons, and at the very least was a distraction that maybe they should stop playing bingo and go back out and see if their cars had been were in jeopardy. And if anyone comes to me with boo-hoo, why can't we do donuts in the parking lot anymore? We weren't hurting anybody. I'm going to tell them this person ruined it for everyone. We need to have parking bumpers, concrete parking bumpers, or some similar structure in the parking lot that we need to put an end to this. I don't have a solution. Yeah, I see what you're talking about, Susie. They do donuts there too. They'll do it anywhere they can. And I felt when I was watching the video that there was a sense of, because people were asking what would make someone do that in an occupied parking lot. And I thought to myself, this is their fix. This is their thrill. They were needing a thrill. And this is the place where they came to get it and it was occupied, but they wanted their thrill. So, yeah. I feel like we need to send a clear message, get your thrill someplace else.
Desiree has her hand up.
Yes, Desiree.
Do we have a U-Haul account for the club? Or sorry,
Ye-
not U-Haul, Uline.
I
Yes.
believe we have a Uline account.
You can order, Uline sells the curb stops, the plastic ones that you pound the rebar in through them.
And here she goes.
They sell them pretty dang reasonably. And they're not hard to install at all. We have asphalt in the parking lot, and it's not hard at all to drive rebar through there, and you can get them pretty dang cheap. Ow, just saying, sorry, I just leaned on something wrong with my knee.
No, I hope your knee feels better. Thank you for this input. I didn't realize this is a company we've already gotten an account with. Yeah.
So you can
So,
get them not bad at all through Uline. If I parking curb, or it's gonna be the parking right there, the parking stops, first one.
okay.
You
And
might be able
concrete
to find
shingling.
different ones that are cheaper.
Okay, here I thought that we would have to hire someone to install them, but if this is something
Oh,
we can
no.
self-install,
No, they're super easy. Literally, the easy ones, it's like I said, it's a piece of rebar that is driven through the top of them.
okay.
And yeah, Teresa, in the magazine, look in the magazine in that big ridiculous catalog that they send out way too many times a year. But yeah, through Uline, you can usually, how do I put my hand down? You can get them through Uline pretty dang cheap.
All right.
I just gotta find where to put my hand down, and then mine is done and overworked.
All right. Yeah, this is good. This is good. So we'll take a look. It looks like we've got access to that online. Anyone who wants to look up, do the web search online or through the catalog, we'll figure it out. Anybody else? I don't see hands up, so feel free. And Susie, we are technically county. This has been an issue with wanting the city to annex us for a while.
Carol and Teresa have their hands up.
All right, Cheryl, go ahead.
Just a second thing. Can you hear me? The symbols here are different on the phone. They had an update.
Yes,
What I'm
I can hear you.
trying to understand about the donuts are when people go and whirl around little circles. Is that what a donut is?
Yes.
Okay, and that could be a problem if we have some ice, because, you know, if you had some snow or ice, you know, an ice spot, then if they did that, they could slide into patrons' cars. But I'm wondering, and I'm trying to understand about these placements of, you know, we're talking about the Uline. Where exactly would they go? And secondly, would it interfere with any other activities that we would have for the club? I'm just trying to see how far back we
No,
are.
good question.
Where would they be?
So these bumpers, they would be, so when you pull forward into a parking space, this would be a bumper that you would run into if you went too far. So they would be at the upper end of the parking space to make sure you don't go into the next space.
Okay.
Now that is one solution, but as you pointed out, we need to consider other things. Someone was saying when this came up that if we got concrete, I can't remember what they're called, there's concrete tubes with poles then they would serve the same purpose, but they could also be used by the artisan market and others who use the parking lot, that they'd be able to put those to better use than the bumpers. So we're going to need proposals. I'm trying to remember what those are called. So it's the
barriers. Or like the safety cones.
no, it's not a safety cone. It is a short cylinder of concrete with a pole sticking up out of it. And the pole could be for any type of signage that we want, but the point that that person was making was you put those in the intersection of 4 parking spaces, put it at the 4 corners spot where all of them meet, and it will interfere with none of those parking spaces. Bullards, I would have to Google that.
It's called a sonotube.
Sonotube?
Sonotube. It's a concrete round form. It's what they use for the bottom of like the light posts and stuff. It's basically just a round concrete form. It's called a sonotube.
Okay, so the yeah, sonotubes, using those. Hello. Well, that works too. Again, so we've got people making suggestions. Now, the idea is we need to look into different costs. This is something where we've got a lot of different options, and we need to look at cost versus value. So give me your proposals. We're going to have to do something. We need to do something. Yeah, the pour in place safety bollards, it says, okay, so apparently there's different types. The pour in place, I saw that note there that it installs in 10 inches of concrete, which we don't have. Well, we might have it in a few spots in the parking lot, but so yeah, safety bollards, so that fixed and removable. And yeah, so these are all things that we would want to consider. What would be of best use for the artisan marketplace and other events? One of the things that I was also considering is with the exploration into businesses. Oh, that's right, on new business, I wanted to put this. The business partnerships, we could go around to local businesses and say, get your name on a bumper. Get your name on a concrete bumper. We will spray paint your name on there with stencils, you know, donated by Sons of Norway, donated by whoever. Yeah. Yep, exactly. And Cheryl in the chat also pointed out that we need to look at the ease of removal for replacement. That's going to be a tricky one, because I want something that is not going to be, these hooligans resent our us interfering with their hooliganing. I don't want any shenanigans possible where they can come steal the darn things in the middle of the night. So all stuff that we're going to have to consider, but I'm opening it to whatever people have. That's all I have for now. We have a suggestion from Greg. Any other hands up? The suggestion is incomplete. I suggest the legal route, meaning prosecution, or not sure what you mean by that. Oh, prosecution. Well, if I can get the license plate of whoever it is, very least in that station wagon, then yes, I look forward to seeing them in court. I was trying to do that earlier today, but no dice yet. So, yeah. Any other comments?
Yeah, I have my hand raised.
Okay, Cheryl, what do you got?
Yeah, the other thing is, there's all different possibilities, but do we know of any businesses or places that are actually using this now that we could find out if there's problems or any, that just, it's kind of like checking it out a little bit because so we avoid any kind of future problems. I'm just suggesting that.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Please
Okay,
repeat.
basically,
Restate.
are there other businesses or places that are using them now, some form? And we could maybe contact and see if there are so many problems with that particular type of barrier that they're using. So we're kind of prepared for anything.
Well, the thing, parking lot bumpers are extremely common. I see them in lots of parking lots. The question is going to be whether or not they whether they brought them there specifically to end a similar problem, and whether they did so recently within the memory of anyone who's there. So that's going to be a hard thing to track down. We would need to find a business that has installed them recently.
Okay,
But if anyone hears about that, let me know.
Yeah, just a suggestion.
Yeah. And let's see. There was another comment in the chat. Do the security cameras record? Yes, and I've been going over the recordings, trying to find when the person did donuts earlier today. Yeah, and Chandra, I see your comment there. I agree. We need to get them screwed down into the concrete and then put a chain between it, and that'll help steer the drivers. And the chains, again, these, if we can have chains on poles, then those would be something that could be used by the artisan marketplace when they use that lot. Any other comments on that?
Well, my thought was if you can record it, then you have something to show that the sheriff or the patroller, whoever does the county. So then they can issue tickets and everything, and then it's on their hands and not yours.
Oh, yes, that's definitely what we've been trying to do, but I've been able to catch them on the cameras multiple times. I've got many recordings of them doing the donuts. The problem is we can't get a license plate or a clear look at the driver. Yeah, we just have very consistent. There's one vehicle that is especially egregious. That's as close as we've got.
Oh,
All right. Moving on to the Raffle bank account, unless there was anything else. All right, Brandy, where are we with getting that bank account?
Sorry. Sometimes it works quickly, sometimes the mic doesn't. Yeah, I just need to set up a time with whoever's going to be on the bank account to go in and create the account.
All right, is that going to be me and you again, or is it going to be somebody else?
I would recommend me, you, and Shonda.
Okay.
And I'm assuming Bank of America is where we can do it. In either
Yeah.
Silverdale, Bremerton, or Port Orchard, or Gig Harbor. Those are the ones, so whichever one.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Don't want to get another bank at this point.
Yeah, the sooner we get that bank account dealt with and the sooner we can start the 50-50 and start increasing our revenue for fundraising. So that should, we should make that a priority as soon as possible.
Yes, please. Chandra, I believe the proper term would be the signers for this account. The account holder, I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but we are the signatories.
Is there a particular day and time that works for everybody? Is Mondays probably better? Or is it
Mm.
Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday before bingo? Is there any, which days? It's best.
I'm fine. My schedule's quite flexible. I can send you a link to my schedule and you can set up whatever time you want. Is Shonda available on this call? Why don't I do this? I'll set up a group chat with Brandy and Shonda.
And then let's set some time next week. I'll make sure that I'm available any day next week, just because this week is with the snow and I am not a good driver in the snow. So. And then
Okay.
I'll call the bank and then I'll call the bank if you can let me know which bank you guys prefer, if you want the Bremerton Silverdale one or Port Orchard, whichever. And then I'll call that bank and see if we can get an appointment or if it's a first come, first served type of thing.
Okay, I just texted you in a group text, so we'll get that
Okay,
started, get that discussion rolling. All right, new business. Cost of rentals increase. What's that about, rental manager?
Sorry, my kids decided now would be the time to get all up in my business. 1 second.
We can move on if you'd prefer.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring it to the board that as for the amount of rentals we have and for the cost of going out, it's after what Brandy has been going through, it is not cost effective. I do believe that we should still be able to offer discounts and all that, but I think that the cost of rentals should either be broken down into an hourly rate with a 4-hour minimum, or at least raise the daily fee up. Because I don't think that right now, from them getting the club from 8 a.m. till midnight for only $420 at full price is covering our costs to allow them to rent.
Okay, how about this? Can we break down our costs for that time and compare that so we can, where is it that we're spending over $400 per rental?
Well, between the janitor, the rental management wages, and then we've got the power, the utilities, and all of that. So basically, that's what's eating up the majority of the cost that we are not breaking even.
Okay.
Well, I know from another group that one of the small places at the fairgrounds is $90 an hour for nonprofits. Just giving you an idea of how much they're charging.
Yes, I actually rented from a much smaller facility, and theirs was $85 an hour for a 4-hour minimum, and then each additional hour was the hourly rate. And then you could pay $100 cleaning fee if they took on the cleaning, or they're responsible for the cleanup to our standards. So I do think that we need to look into changing the cost to make it more cost effective.
Well, what about, like 4 hour or an 8 hour, 4 hour, 8 hour, or 12 hour? And you have different costs for each. Instead of going hourly. And sit and keep the, cleaning deposit as is.
Is that really going to change? Okay, I'm curious because if janitorial and rental manager are our, if that's where our fixed costs are, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't people, the janitorial amounts and the rental manager amounts don't change with the amount of time that someone is here? People trash the place in 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours. Do they really trash it that much more in 10?
No, it's not so much about I think it's more the utility costs and our, I don't have the right words right now. Well, let me ask Brandy, as far as what you have looked into, what are your thoughts as far as where we stand? And if we should make any changes?
I haven't completed the cost analysis yet, or the cost allocation piece yet. I'd have to look into that. I think, yeah, I have to break that all down. And then I can have it to you guys by the next board meeting. I think the key piece is that when the monthly year-to-date budget comparison to the revenue and the expenses piece on a monthly basis, when we look at that first month revenue of January to see where we're at on track. And as long as we keep staying at or above our projected revenue pieces and our expenses stay on track, we should be good. Where it's going to come into play is if we are under budget, excuse me, if we're over budget and under revenue in that first month, chances are we may be, continuing a pattern that we don't want to happen. And you guys have to redefine where's your revenue sources. Where can we gain revenue from? Bingo is bingo. You can try and advertise and get people to come in, all day long. And it's, honestly, it's hit or miss. Holidays are great enticers. Teresa does great activities to get people there. But if for some reason, that's not in our control, weather, those type of things you can't control. And so revenue may be down. How do you offset some of that revenue? By other activities that the club does. Raise food prices significantly. You can raise your rates significantly, your membership significantly. So you already did your membership. So if the memberships aren't coming in and food isn't being, bought and bingos aren't there, your only other source of revenue is to raise the increase of your rentals, hoping that you continue to get rentals. So I think it's a matter of when and how much those rates need to go up. And I'll make sure that I have it to the board by the January's board meeting, the cost allocation, to let you know how much is it actually costing janitorial for that? How much is it if the renter decides to have kitchen? Because that's a big factor as well. If the whether it's a renter, or excuse me, a rental that's using the kitchen, or if it's an event that has kitchen, because it doesn't matter if the rental brings in the kitchen and they offset the cost and everything's great and you make money, and then you go and have an event and they have a kitchen, and guess what? All of that revenue that you just made, offset it by, an event coming in, and then you're at, you're actually in the hole because of that. So there's a lot of factors that come into play when it comes to your income. So yeah, let me finalize that cost allocation piece, and then I will let you know at a minimum what it's going to cost for somebody to rent the club, 2 hours, 4 hours. And Chandra is
Yeah.
right. It depends on, you know, a 2 hour to 6 hour to 8 hour janitorial may not be that significant. It could be, you know, somebody renting the club for 2 hours. Maybe it's not the length of time, but it's the type of rental. So if it's a Girl Scout that's coming in and using it, great. Probably not going to have much cleanup. You have somebody that come in and does a wedding, absolutely. They're probably going to scrub the floors because everybody's got juice all over it, or wine or beer. So that's
Yep.
where it's going to come into play, where your janitorial is going to take more time. And again, they're there for 2 hours. They're probably not going to use much electric. Or if they're going to be there 6 hours, yep, absolutely. They're going to use a lot more. Same with the heat. Summertime, they're
Yeah.
going to have less heat, you know? So there's some factors and scenarios that I'll have to come up with. And then obviously you'll just do an average, right? You're not going to sit there and say, you know, this type of rental, blah, blah, blah. That gets way too complicated. But I can come up
Right.
with some scenarios and give you an average. And then you can say on a minimum, this is what we need to charge just to break even. And then what is a good amount of revenue for the club to bring in? So if it's $200, you know, per hour that we have to do, I know that's extreme. You know, do we want to make 50% every time? Okay, we should be charging $300 at a minimum every hour, type of thing. So let me look
Right.
at those numbers, so that way I'm just not guessing. And you know, I suspect at some point we probably will have to raise the rental based on wages, right? Wages are going up, I think, what, almost $1 an hour, if not a little over $1. I can't remember, at the first of the year. So that's going to come into play, and supplies, you know, everything's going up. So I suspect that rental should go up as well, but just like we did the membership. So let me look at that,
Okay.
and I'll get that to the next board meeting.
That sounds good. Thank you, Brandy.
Idiot, Inslee.
The other thing along with that is, because yeah, wow, I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, I'm curious about the 4 hour, 8 hour. Oh, that's what it was. We're different types of rentals. Because it does appear that we're getting fewer of the weddings and the quinceañeras and stuff like that. Especially since we've started advising them that the noise ordinance prevents loud music after 10 o'clock. Which is fine with me. I'm curious though, from a tax status, can we count when we have a 501c3 discount that may put us in the red, but can we count being in the red as a kind of donation? Because we've donated a portion of our costs to a nonprofit.
I believe that there is a way that we can track that and count those as donations. So I don't know how much of a tax write-off or anything like that it would be. So yeah, I think that at this point, I think Brandy's right. We table it until next month and get some numbers in front of us and see where we are.
Oh, I agree. I was not, yeah, it wasn't an either or thing. But when it comes to nonprofits, and it comes to our nonprofit status, we, with the amount that we have had to spend the last few years, we need every type of donation that we can count to maintain our 501c3 status.
Yeah, I think it would be an in-kind track type thing, which
Yep.
in-kind can convert itself into cash, right? Based
Yeah.
on whatever, you know,
Yeah.
whether we're
My-
donating our janitorial time to clean or donating, you know, whatever. Yeah, there isn't a tax break per se. It's just more strengthening up as to why the federal government allowed us to be exempt from that particular type
Exactly.
of tax.
Exactly. And so when we have to spend money so that, you know, on building improvements and stuff like this, and we don't make donations to the food banks and the other stuff like that, and we are, so if the largest continuous expense is wages, they don't like that. So I want to make sure that we can track those in-kind donations, and make sure that we are justifying the nonprofit status during these lean times when we can't donate in other ways. Anything else? I don't see hands. I can't see whose hand is up, so speak now. All right, next item of business, the executive director position.
Yeah, so I've had this in the back of my mind for a few months now, and I know probably a couple of you probably will not find it surprising that this is that the treasurer job is pretty overwhelming to somebody who works full-time and has some other outside obligations. And I think that the club would be better served if they had a person who is on payroll that manages. I mean, if you can find a volunteer person that can commit this amount of time, I mean, my hats would be off to you guys. It would be a great contribution to the club. But I think the club would be better served having some sort of full-time, excuse me, not full-time, have a paid position that can help manage the day-to-day responsibilities of a business. I know you guys are nonprofit, but I just have some concerns from a risk management standpoint, from the liability piece of it. Not so much of the safety concerns, but more from either the health concerns, the gambling commission rules concerns, as well as employment concerns. And I work with local government, and you know, these elected positions, you get what you get, but you also have a team of staff that understands and knows the rules and regulations of their type of business. And you know, I dabbled in accounting before. I know how to do certain things, but there's a lot of things that I am not familiar with when it comes to this type of organization, and I do not want to put the club in a bad position. And there's probably a couple times that I've probably borderline doing that, just being ignorant to myself, right?
Yep.
And so I think it's better served that the club look at having somebody, you know, it could be 5 to 10 hours a week, 10 to 15 hours a week. I don't think that you'll need anybody more than 20 hours a week for many years to come. Just depends on, you know, the amount of activity that the club has, you know, within the next 5 years. But definitely the next couple of years, you probably need somebody here. And what I envision the club have is an executive position would be responsible for scheduling activities, revenue activities for the club, which is your event organizer, which is your rental manager, those type of things. They could even help coordinate schedules with the kitchen, or, you know, with the events. You know, it's kind of a little bit different because you have kitchen that does the bingo, and then you have kitchen that does events and other things. So you would just, you know, they would just oversee or coordinate with the bingo manager on the scheduling, the kitchen and the janitorials. You know, maybe she can prepare the schedules. That person should have some sort of knowledge or understanding, or wanting to get knowledge and understanding of HR rules, the tax rules. It's a nonprofit, and you guys got bingo, gambling commission, raffles, all of those things that you have to abide by. You got the PFMLA now, which is your medical insurance. Now they're getting ready to, I believe, reactivate the long-term care. I mean, you have some employees that did not have the opportunity to opt in or opt out, and now, unfortunately, because their rights weren't explained to them early and off, they're in a position now they can't do anything. They can no longer apply for the exempt status. It is what it is. We will be reducing their paycheck. By state law, we have to. So you guys have been pretty fortunate that it looks like you guys only had 1 or 2 claims against you guys, either from L&I or for unemployment. So you guys are been pretty lucky there. But so I think it's just time that somebody takes on that position. It also could be that they can schedule, they're the one that provides the proposals to the boards, like this parking lot. That's going to be their responsibility to go in and look and see what 3 or 4 proposals are presented to the board. It would be their responsibility to coordinate so that way you don't have the maintenance guys show up and the doors are locked. It's their responsibility. They're the ones that's, you know, so these day-to-day operations. Ideally, I think you would probably want them on the bank account. They should be the one that's responsible for the deposits and the withdrawal and the payroll. I mean, it's kind of a fine line. Well, what does the treasurer do? You know, maybe that's the compromise. The treasurer does the long range planning and the budgets and those type of things that I haven't thought too much into. But there's things happening on that on a business sense, Monday through Sunday on that club, whether it's they're having deliveries that needs to be taken care of, they have renters that need to come in, they're preparing for the next meeting, and to have somebody that knows day to day what's going on in that club financially and physically, I think it would be beneficial. So the next part would be, okay, yeah, that's great. We need somebody. How are we going to pay for it? I think that, you know, we'll really have to watch the first, you know, month and the first quarter, first, second, and third quarter. I think you really need to watch those that first quarter, those 3 months to see what your revenue sources are, to see if the revenues are coming in on target, on budget. But you can take, I put in some projections for the revenue, or excuse me, for the payroll, and I upped it quite a bit for a couple reasons. One, we had some employee positions that were vacant for a little bit. So we may have some of those funds that come into play next year that we can use it for. We also have, so I increased it based on that, saying, hey, if we had 12 months full of employees at the max rate, and then the new pay increase, and then what would overtime be, yada, yada. So there should be some funds in there in the payroll already budget that would help offset some of the cost of that executive director, as well as, since you're not going to be having a rental manager, that is part of the executive, whatever the hourly rate or hours that were currently applied to that would just be carried over to that. So that's a balance or a neutral. Your webmaster, it would be their responsibility to maintain the website. You know, it's a business aspect. So what you're paying that website master would be a little bit of offset to pay for the executive director position. And again, I can, the point of tonight's discussion is to put it on the table, get your guys' interest and whether you guys are ready to move forward in that direction. And if so, then I'll take the time and do a cost analysis and say, okay, this is how much I budgeted for payroll. This is a new hourly rate. How much can you guys actually afford? Can you guys only afford 5 hours a week? Can you guys afford 10 hours a week? But just wanted to see what your thoughts are on that, because I can tell you I'm getting burned out. Was pretty naive in realizing what all the responsibilities are of a treasurer for a club of your guys' nature. And I don't think it's fair to the club that I continue to keep running in place. It's kind of like a twofold, right? I don't want to be a failure, but at the same time, I'm doing the best that I can. And I understand that you guys are very supportive. So it's not lacking that by any means. It's just my own personal, it's a lot. And I probably spend 10 to 20 hours a week just for the club on top of my 45 to 50 hour week job, and still trying to have a personal life. And I'm not whining and complaining. That's not why I'm here. But I just want to kind of give you guys a sense that if you want somebody to put the effort into increasing the revenue of the club, explaining to the board and the members exactly what is going on in the club on a day-to-day basis, what are you doing, what are the maintenance, you need to have somebody that wants to do it and enjoys doing it. And I can tell you from hands down, my first recommendation would be Chandra. I mean, she does a phenomenal job. I mean, obviously if she wants it, if she doesn't want it, then you guys got to go look for somebody. But that's just my thoughts. That probably February or March, my first thing is to get this payroll up and running, and then do the 2 cost analysis. And then probably by March, I will probably put in my notice to say, hey, I need to step down. And then hopefully, stay on for a few months to get everybody trained um, and make sure that the club's in a good position before I taper off. So it's not like, hey, I'm done in March and see you and good luck. It's hey, I'm officially need to start tapering down, and then have my goal would be by June to be fully out and have the club in a routine, consistent, what do you call it, revenue producing position. How's that? So, and I entertain your comments on things that we should look at, think about for the next board meeting for the executive position. Is this, yep, sounds good, let's see what the next step is? Or is this like, hey, we're not even there, why'd you even bring it up? Just don't even look into it. I'd just be curious to see what your guys' thoughts are.
Well, I'll call for comments in a moment, but I would like to start by, first of all, by thanking you for bringing this to the board. I've been thinking about it for a while. I've worked with other nonprofits, and they frequently have executive director positions. And I've been saying for a while, one of the things that caused because we talk about, you've all heard me talk about when I took this club over, it was so close to dying, and it had lost its focus year after year after year. And I believe one of many reasons, but a very significant one, is that there was no consistent, the constant revolving door of the electoral process. Brandy's right. We have executives in politics who work for elected officials who are consistent from one official to another, and they help them learn the job. We don't have anyone like that here. We need someone who is not elected, who is paid to help the elected folks adapt, know their roles, and be effective. And I've had a personal theme in my head for each year, and this upcoming year, I want to be focused on the handoff. I want to be able to step away. I'm kind of jealous, Brandy. You've already got your date picked out. This will be my 4th year as president. I want it to be my last. And I say that with deep love for this club. My biggest concern for this club is that after pulling it back from the brink, it won't survive me walking away. And an executive, a strong executive director to help that transition happen would be huge. So, yeah. The other thing I'm thinking about with this is that, this club has been kind of in limbo, partially because it's been in between other types of nonprofit club entities. It seems like they tried to organize themselves as if they were like the fishing club or the fruit club. They were the West Side Improvement Club, but that's not the type of club they are. Those clubs don't have employees. And so we have to accept the fact that we are a nonprofit, not just a community club. We are a nonprofit, and those are companies, and they need people to run. So I know it's a big step. But I think it's a step that we've been looking at for a while, where we've got to figure out what we really are. And I would like, I don't know if the time is here yet, but I would like to see an executive director position. Who's got a hand up? Anybody?
Carol has her hand up.
Cheryl?
Yeah, trying to figure out. Yeah, just off the cuff, two areas that I think need consideration. I mean, there's a lot of other work would have to be involved. But the big two for me, first of all, is the rental manager. And if this executive director is going to be subsuming, because whoever was the rental manager had to show up and show and close up. And you have to have a person that is available to do that, preferably close to the club. And that might be hard to get someone if they have all these other duties and stuff. And secondly is the payroll. I mean, is the treasurer going to be doing the payroll, or is it going to switch to this other person for logging all of that and everything? And with that, at one time, I mean, there's other kinds of functions. We had someone come out from an accounting firm that we were looking at them doing our payroll, because now with the hours, the number of people and all these new kind of medical and family leave things, that gets to be a nightmare. We didn't have all of that before. And what the idea was is that, you bring the information and they have the checks ready and they track those hours. It's not like they're doing HRA things, but that's another factor in looking at cost effectiveness in terms of where the payroll is going to go. And the same for the treasurer position, that's a way to relieve it from a treasurer. And if you have the executive director doing all these other things, I think those two areas need to be thought about.
Well, definitely, it does sound like this position would take on all the roles of, it would, should completely subsume the rental manager position. It would also completely subsume the webmaster position. And when people are doing the math on this one, I think that's worth noting that those are two paid positions. And so the costs of bringing this person on board could be far less than we would think, because it would really be the equivalent of, they'd have a lot more duties, but hourly, it might not be many more hours than we're currently getting from our rental manager.
Well, there's the thing about replacing this jack of all trades, because one of the big things is training. And what if the person goes on vacation or they're ill or quit? We would be in a big lurch because they have so many different hats on. It'd be very difficult to kind of just come in there and take over in kind of an emergency or for vacancies, because you're putting so much into one hat.
Well, that's true. It would, it would create that type of a vacuum, but the board would be authorized to hire someone as an interim, and we would have a number of people who were familiar with the club who we could choose from. I would note, you were talking about the rental manager needing to come in. A lot more of the rental manager's job can be done remotely these days. So that's been one of the great things about having the security system, at least once we get the darn lock fixed. But yes, it would, obviously having this position is important. And anytime you have an important position, it creates an issue if they can leave, but we'd be no worse off than we are right now.
Yeah, and I would just point out,
Yeah.
I would just point out too that the executive position, the executive director should be communicating on a regular basis to the president and the treasurer. I envision that the president would just get weekly updates. The treasurer would actually probably be the check and balance to make sure that there isn't any fraudulent activity going on, meaning that they should also be on the bank account. They should be the signatories. they should also be on a monthly basis doing the balancing of the checkbook. Or looking at the bank statements on a regular basis. So it's not like you're handing over all of the treasurer duties. And I know that's not what you're saying, Cheryl, but yeah, my
No.
thought would be
Yeah.
to make sure that there's absolutely one, coverage, two, that there is somebody that's overseeing the work of a person who is solely responsible for the treasure. Like right now, there's nobody looking at my
Mhm.
work. Not that,
Mhm.
you know, I
Yep.
want to open up those can of worms, but I'm just saying you already have that now and nobody looks at it but once a year when it's time to go through the audit process. And by then, you know,
Mhm.
quite a bit can be already
Yeah.
gone. And so my role in my job and when I hand this off is to make sure that there is that continuity and that there is that check and balance that, hey, when somebody's writing these checks, is there somebody on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, monthly's fine, that treasurer can go and pull the bank statements, match the checks, look at the receipts, check it off on a month. They're going to fill out this form that says, yep, everything looks good this month. Everything, all the checks are accounted for. You know, these look like real purchases. So I think that's the role of the treasurer would be just reviewing everything. They're not actually going and making the deposits. They're not actually issuing and signing the checks. They're just being an overseer. And then the president's role would be,
Mhm.
is this person actually working 6 hours like they say they are? Are these proposals coming in on the timeline that they're supposed to be doing? Are they actually getting more rentals like they're, you know, that's their job? What's the website
Yep.
look like? So, you know, on a monthly basis, he should be continuing, or that person should be continually monitoring this executive director and presenting to the board when the performance isn't where it should be.
Yeah.
So that's the goal of, you know, the last thing I want to do is put one person responsible for everything. I mean, I'm a big believer that I'm a big cross trainer. I do not believe in job security. I believe that everybody needs to know. That's how I function. I need to know everybody's role and responsibilities so I can help do my job better and help you do your job if we all understand what everybody's role is and what we do
Mhm.
and how to do it. Because if that person's sick, who's going to help them? Nobody.
Right.
Doesn't do anybody good. So everybody needs to understand a small piece of somebody's job. And again, before I move on, that would be my goal: is cross training, continuity, and the fraudulent activities. And it doesn't have to be cash. It could be, you know, any type of fraudulent activity. So
Yeah.
it protects the club. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, Sarah, we'll look at those and make sure that that's all on writing and make sure that everybody's comfortable before we obviously move forward with the final.
But yeah, I completely agree, Brandy. That these are what you're describing as the duties of the treasurer and the secretary and the president. Those sound much more suitable to elected volunteers than the amount of work they are doing right now. What you just described sounds much more like the jobs of elected volunteers. Yeah. All right, any other hands up? Let me see. I found a way to see hands up. All right. So we look forward to seeing a proposal for that. Yeah, off the top of my head, the executive director would have all the current duties of rental manager, all the current duties of webmaster, plus many of the currently extraneous duties of treasurer, the duties that nobody is doing in HR. So yeah, I think that we can pull together a lot of stuff and
I
make
want to make note real quick, sorry, while my kids are being quiet-ish. I also wanted to make note that there would be training offered through Insperity that would help give that executive director position assistance and guidance every step of the way as well.
right. So that would make
Yeah,
better
that
use of,
program.
yeah,
Yeah, that program that we have and should be, we reinitiated that process. So my goal is by middle January, if not by the end of January, we should be on an automated payroll system. So that will relieve some of the treasurer and the proposed executive director position of handwriting checks for payroll and doing the taxes. All of that will be handled by the third party vendor. And that cost is already being paid through what the club historically has paid the treasurer for. So it's somewhat cost neutral on that. It'll also be somewhat cost neutral for the executive director because they're just going to be reviewing the hours and submitting. They're just going to review the hours, confirm it, probably submit a button or two, and payroll's done, versus me going in there spending 20 minutes travel time, 20 minutes issuing the checks and doing the payroll, another 20 minutes travel time. So they can all do it. That time, from what I understand, to do payroll would probably be 15 minutes because there's no travel time. It's all computer. So that's going to cut down some time for everybody as well. So I forgot what I was going to go. I forgot where I was going to go with that. Yeah, so that'll help with some of the duties. The other thing is for deposits and stuff. This might be an opportunity. I don't know when the last time you guys looked at the bingo manager's job description responsibility. Maybe she's like, hey, I shouldn't have to do all this work because I got all these employees and I should be more doing the management piece. And, maybe she wants to do the deposits, and maybe she wants to do, she's already doing the reporting and tons of that anyways. But, maybe there's some hours, that should be to the executive director and not the bingo, or this is the great opportunity to look at everybody's hours and is that what they want? Is that what the position needs to be? Maybe we find out through all of this that, we need, the bingo manager to have 2 more hours because that's just what it takes realistically with all the reports. And, the cashier is going to have to do another hour or 2 because of the raffle piece, but, we're getting all that extra revenue. So it's going to offset these hours. So I think it's a great opportunity to look at the club as a whole and not just the executive director. And, I would welcome the bingo manager and the assistant bingo manager to look at their hours and then see what that's going to look like as well. Maybe they find that, oh, we don't have to do this anymore, so we're going to reduce our hours by 2 hours, whatever. I don't know, but it's you got to look at the plus and the minuses of all of this financial, I don't know, what do you want to call it? What do they call it when you come through and they do a business
An audit?
It's more of a
Review?
what is it called?
An assessment.
Like a lean. Yeah, it's not a lean system, but it's you're re-looking at the structure of a business and what makes sense in today's structure, right?
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah, anyways,
like a business.
so
plan.
baby steps. We're getting there.
All right. Any other hands up? Really appreciate everyone's thoughts on this. I look forward to seeing those proposals. Where are we going to find the superhero? Well, yeah, I've seen other nonprofits. What they do is they find someone who has a lot of the criteria and they will send them to classes or get support like we're going to get from Insperity and stuff like that, Yeah. So I've got a couple of ideas where we might find a superhero. But all I know is other nonprofits find people like this.
Cheryl,
So-
and still up?
Yeah. Oh, Cheryl's hand is up again. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to go to 2 places to try to do all of this. Okay, no, we have, there's things to talk about, at the next board meeting, but my suggestion is that we think about this and who do we direct comments to before, so that there might be some, if we do it in enough time, some of the things could be categorized that people are like, this is some suggestions in this area or whatever, so that it can be a more efficient way to discuss the thing. So I'm asking about who do we send comments to before the next board meeting, and might have some, if, for example, if it was Brandy, she can look at that and she can kind of break out, oh, these people think this about the rental part, see what the pros and cons are. So we have more of an overview when we come to discussion. And we also can do add-ons at the time.
All right, so Brandy, are you constructing this proposal?
Yes, and I just sent the West Side Improvement Club's treasurer email in the chat box. So just send your comments, suggestions,
Mhm.
not only for the executive director position, but other things that you think that might be pertinent to the club when we look through this overhaul structure type thing. I'm not quite sure, can't think of any examples right now, but yeah, just send those to me and I will make sure that the president and the secretary and whoever else might need, if it's a maintenance thing, make sure that the maintenance volunteers get input as well. So if it's, you know, infrastructure
Oh.
piece or whatever, but yeah, go ahead and send it to me and I'll be the leader, director, gatherer.
I would
Presenter.
also just, well, since you're assembling this, I just had the thought, when I thought about this before, this role may also take on spaces that are currently occupied by chairs. In particular, membership chair, publicity chair, and possibly events chair. And I know that's a tall order, but it's worth noting that 2 of those 3 chairs are currently unoccupied. And this is a great example of how we need to pay someone to do these. Publicity and membership are 2 critical things. And those duties are currently falling on board members, which is putting too much stress on people who volunteer. All right. Seeing no other hands up, let's move on to the bingo snow schedule.
So this was added last minute because Cheryl wanted to touch base with Teresa and find out, you know, what kind of planning preparations need to be done for bingo during the snow. Cheryl, did you have something you wanted to, this was kind of your suggestion?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, because, all right, this might change, but for tonight, 7 p.m. until 7 p.m. Tuesday, they're predicting snow, and it could be 2 to 8 inches. Then there's another storm front polar coming in. They're thinking Wednesday or so we might have another one. Of course, we're going to have below freezing temperatures. So the question is, what's our plan for advising, like, players that we're not having the bingo, or just, you know, when are we going to be deciding about this? Because it's kind of iffy, but they're predicting 2 fronts coming in on different days. And it may not melt off until Thursday or Friday, maybe, when the temperatures start to increase.
Teresa, did you have anything you'd like to contribute here?
Basically, I just keep an eye on the weather. I've got a lot of the players' phone numbers and emails, and we post it online. There's
Mhm.
not a lot we can do. Weather is unpredictable.
Okay, but when do you do that? Is there like a certain time of day where you would send it out early enough so we don't avoid last minute stuff? Because other employees have to come in too.
Yes, I usually make that decision before 2 p.m.
Okay, I just wanted to know. Okay. So we're all aware that we have potentially 2 fronts coming in. So this could really affect bingo this week.
Okay.
That's all.
sounds like Teresa's got this under control.
Okay,
There's somebody else with a hand up now.
I want to lower it. Okay,
Oh. That's you. Okay.
I got rid of it. I couldn't find it.
So one other thing that was not on the agenda, but was made note in the chat privately is where are we with janitor starting in January? I know that Malik and his family were looking into moving and he might not be available anymore. Do we have we gone anywhere as far as looking into a replacement or finding out what's going on with that?
Oh, I'd love to have an executive director pass this off.
Mhm.
I have not made any progress toward finding other replacements. As far as that's concerned, in the past, Bingo has put out they've put out ads. We've had to sort through applicants before. Now, there was a time when the board let the bingo manager do the hiring, and that has been suspended. I think that Teresa's done an amazing job. And Teresa, do you have any prospects for hiring?
I had talked to Farrell and I had asked her, since she is the backup janitorial, if she would be interested in taking over the janitorial. She did tell me yes. And as for a backup janitorial, Jeremy had said that he wouldn't mind coming in and helping her do that to get extra hours too.
Okay.
That's as far as I've gotten with it.
Well, that sounds great. And unless someone on the board wants to take over that hiring search as a project, I'd be inclined to let Teresa handle it. The hiring, I would say that the hiring freeze or the hiring review period that we had from her predecessor should be lifted so that we just let her handle this. Teresa, if you need help, you will let me know. But it sounds like we've got people in-house who have had other positions, some volunteer, some paid. I think Chandra's right. If we've got people in-house, let's hire them.
I would even go far as to make a motion that if Farrell is willing to accept the position, we accept her as the janitorial lead, as she is aware of the position. She knows what it entails and is willing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, this is Cheryl. I would add something about, and also having a backup in line, because sometimes we might need two people in. So it isn't just, Farrell per se, but I would add in there that also for a potential backup, because she could be gone or something, so it would cover that.
Yes, that's why we've got Jeremy Griffey.
Yeah,
So-
but it could be, just so we are addressing that, because we could use two at one time. And so it's actually for two potential people, a backup and a main.
Yeah,
So I would amend the motion to say that I would also add Jeremy Griffey, our current kitchen lead, to be the janitorial backup for Farrell.
As the second motion maker, I agree to the amendment.
all right. Motion has been amended. that we extend a hiring offer to both of these individuals, Farrell and Jeremy. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
I,
Anyone opposed?
I just finally got my mute off. I'm voting for it.
Oh, okay. Very good. Motion carries. All right. Teresa, can you extend both of those offers to Farrell and Jeremy?
Mhm.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Oh, didn't mute fast enough. Oh, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I.
Okay, happy holidays, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays
Happy
indeed.
Merry
holidays.
Christmas.
And thank you all to the current board. This was officially your last board meeting, and we want to thank everybody for all your contributions and hope you will continue to be an active part of the club.
Yes, thank you all very much for everything that you've done. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.